Canto 5 notes. Line 2, a smaller circle. The pit of hell tapers like a tunnel. The circles of ledges accordingly grow smaller as they descend. Line 4, Minos. Like all the monsters Dante assigns to the various offices of hell, Minos is drawn from classical mythology. He was the son of Europa and of Zeus, who descended to her in the form of a bull. Minos became a mythological king of Crete, so famous for his wisdom and justice that after death his soul was made judge of the dead. Virgil presents him fulfilling the same office at Aeneas's descent to the underworld. Dante, however, transforms him into an irate and hideous monster with a tail. The transformation may have been suggested by the form Zeus assumed for the rape of Europa. The monster is certainly bullish enough here, but the obvious purpose of the brutalization is to present a figure symbolic of the guilty conscience of the wretches who come before it to make their confessions. Dante freely reshapes his materials to his own purposes. Line 8, it confesses all. Just as the souls appeared eager to cross Acheron, so they are eager to confess even while they dread. Dante is once again making the point that sinners elect their hell by an act of their own will. Line 27, Hell's full lamentation. It is with the second circle that the real tortures of hell begin. Line 34, the ruined gap of hell. See note to Canto 2, line 53. At the time of the harrowing of hell, a great earthquake shook the underworld, shattering rocks and cliffs. Ruins resulting from the same shock are noted in Canto 12 and Canto 21. At the beginning of the Canto 24, the poets leave the Bolgia of the hypocrites by climbing the ruined slabs of a bridge that was shattered by this earthquake. The sinners of the second circle, the carnal. Here begin the punishments for the various sins of incontinence, the sins of the she-wolf. In the second circle are punished those who sin by excess of sexual passion. Since this is the most natural sin, and the sin most nearly associated with love, its punishment is the lightest of all to be found in hell proper. The carnal are whirled and buffeted endlessly through the murky air, symbolic of the beclouding of their reason by passion, by a great gale, symbolic of their lust. Line 53, Empress of Many Tongues, is Semiramis, a legendary queen of Assyria who assumed full power at the death of her husband Ninus. Line 61, Dido, queen and founder of Carthage. She had vowed to remain faithful to her husband Sichaeus, but she fell in love with Aeneas. When Aeneas abandoned her, she stabbed herself on a funeral pyre she had prepared. According to Dante's own system of punishments, she should be in the seventh circle with the suicides. The only clue Dante gives to the tempering of her punishment is his statement that she killed herself for love. Dante always seems readiest to forgive in that name. Line 65, Achilles. He is placed among this company because of his passion for Polyxena, the daughter of Priam. For love of her, he agreed to desert the Greeks and to join the Trojans. But when he went to the temple for the wedding, according to the legend Dante has followed, he was killed by Paris. Line 74, those two swept together, Paolo and Francesca. Dante's treatment of these two lovers is certainly the tenderest and most sympathetic accorded any of the sinners in hell, and legends immediately began to grow about this pair. The facts are these. In 1275, Giovanni Malatesta of Rimini, called Giovanni the Lame, a somewhat deformed but brave and powerful warrior, made a political marriage with Francesca, daughter of Guido da Polenta of Ravenna. Francesca came to Rimini, and there an amour grew between her and Giovanni's younger brother Paolo. Despite the fact that Paolo had married in 1269, he had become the father of two daughters by 1275. His affair with Francesca continued for many years. It was sometime between 1283 and 1286 that Giovanni surprised them in Francesca's bedroom and killed both of them. Around these facts, the legend has grown that Paolo was sent by Giovanni as his proxy to the marriage, that Francesca thought he was her real bridegroom, and accordingly gave him her heart irrevocably at first sight. The legend obviously increases the pathos, but nothing in Dante gives it support. Line 102. That we are one in hell as we were above. At many points of the Inferno, Dante makes clear the principle that the souls of the damned are locked so blindly into their own guilt that none can feel sympathy for another, or find any pleasure in the presence of another. The temptation of many readers is to interpret this line romantically, that the love of Paolo and Francesca survives hell itself. The more Dantean interpretation, however, is that they add to one another's anguish, A, as mutual reminders of their sin, and B, as insubstantial shades of the bodies for which they once felt such great passion. Line 104, Caina waits for him. Giovanni Malatesta was still alive at the writing. His fate is already decided, however, and upon his death, his soul will fall to Caina, the first ring of the last circle, Canto 32, where lie those who performed acts of treachery against their kin. Lines 124 to 125. The Rime of Lancelot. The story exists in many forms. The details Dante makes use of are from an old French version. Line 126, dim time. The original simply reads, we were alone, suspecting nothing. Dim time is rhyme forced, but not wholly outside the legitimate implications of the original, I hope. The old courtly romance may well be thought of as happening in the dim ancient days. The apology, of course, comes after the fact. One does the possible, then argues for justification, and there probably is none. Line 134, that book, and he who wrote it, was a pander. Galeotto, the Italian word for pander, is also the Italian rendering of the name of Galahalt, who, in the French romance Dante refers to here, urged Lancelot and Guinevere on to love.